How's it going, doggy people? Welcome back to part 2 of the Beckman working with a leash reactivity crazy puppy. This is Cooper part 2. If you hear noise in the background, that is my ferret Hermes. He is awake and playing in his tunnel, so I'll try to keep that noise out as much as possible. But let's get started with he's going to be introducing Cooper to his dogs.
Me? Yeah, he's with me. You checked in
So
with
the dog
me, right?
checked in with him. He's a little bit wary, a little bit nervous. This dog has their side to the gate, which is very nice. He's not heading face on, so he's being very respectful.
There. Okay, you can say hi to your friend.
We go to sniff.
Cooper, come!
Ow, God. Dude. Oh, I hate that so much. That was so unnecessary. We're going to go back and I'm not going to play the full thing. I'm just going to go back and, just look at his body language. Look at that low, this is so unnecessary. You could have, now yes, he called him, he's over threshold. He's not going to listen to you. He doesn't know the recall period. So he doesn't deserve this as a correction. He doesn't deserve a correction period. He likes to act like the accountability is on the dog. Look at that face. He's staring him directly down. He's upset. He won't, say it or show it, but he's showing that tense in that moment, frustration. He didn't listen, so he gets this correction. People will say that the accountability is on the dog. They don't listen, they deserve that correction. I think that is just absolutely BS. This dog did not need that. If I were working with him and I did allow him to go sniff because he walked very nicely, I wouldn't say Cooper come right away. I wouldn't say COME at all. I would simply stand there, see if he's going to check in on me. If he doesn't, then I can try going over and backing away, like how he shows the recall. That's how I do it, where I would move up to him. We'll go back and show you where I would stand. So right here.
Right there. Okay, you can say hi to your friend.
Okay, he's sniffing. So there, we know that he's, over threshold because he's sniffing. He's saying hello. I give him a couple of seconds, maybe even a minute just to sniff. I would let him take his time and see if he's going to check in on me. And as soon as any kind of, growling or anything happened, then yeah, we would walk away. And that's why I would have him on a harness. If I had him on a collar, then fine. Flat buckle collar, and use as little pressure as possible to walk them away. And then I would say, okay, we're going to stop further away. But I would get a little bit closer, so I'm more in his sign and his peripheral vision. I would bend down and start walking away. I would crouch down so I'm closer to his level, a little bit more enticing, and I would start walking back. And if he didn't come, then I would continue, go back, walk backwards, come back, walk backwards, and try to kind of create a draw for him to follow me. If he didn't, then I would just say, okay, let me just walk you back. I'm going to have to take this leash, and I'm going to kind of have to pull you, and in some cases drag you. I don't want to have to drag, but I think as soon as you apply the slightest bit of pressure to move him away, if you're not going to use your body, then I think this dog would respond. And as soon as he looks at me, then I would be backing away, rewarding with a high-value treat, because we're competing with these two dogs. These dogs are competing for our attention, but he says, you get one chance, and then I pop you. It's just unnecessary, and especially for a dog, any dog. But this dog is so sensitive. Labs are so easy to work with because they're made to work with people. Even as young as this dog is. I think he's 9 months, 10 months. If you have to rely on this...
Cooper, come!
Jesus, dude. That is so unnecessary and so dangerous and...
How was my cue? How was my...
thing. No reward afterwards
Cooper,
anyway.
come. Was it loud enough for him to hear it? Yes. Was it clear enough? Was it high-pitched enough for him to hear it? Yes. What did he do? He said, no, I want to meet these friends. I said, okay.
He was distracted by the dogs because you haven't taught him the recall, moving away from other distractions. You haven't worked on that enough. You've had him you said you had a video 2 days ago, so maybe I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt that he's had this dog maybe a week, maybe 5 days. You have not worked on that enough. You're not even going to accomplish that in 5 days, in my opinion, if you're doing it right. If you take time, you don't just constantly drill the dog back and forth, back and forth. If you do it without having to use the leash or rely on the leash, and you have your dog working at, distractions, what I would do is have him here or over wherever he's below threshold, and I would try calling him back then. Because we have a distraction, I can call him away then. I can have him on a long line. I can have him on a regular leash or a 10-foot leash or a 20-foot leash, whatever. and I can walk away and call him. When he can come back at that distance reliably, then we can move closer and closer. I have no idea what my ferret's getting into, but I would move him a little bit closer and closer, and then we can go right here where he's sniffing the dogs, and then practice that, because we practiced that behavior in the past, and that has been reinforced, and it's reliable enough that, okay, now we can really test you here. If he didn't come back here, then I would say, okay, we're just going to move back the distance and practice there. This is just unnecessary. It's unfair to the dog, but it gets results. You know, people always say, you know, it gets results. Of course it gets results. I've never once said that this doesn't get results. If I've ever implied that it doesn't get results, then that was a mistake on my part. That this gets results very quickly, but it's how you get them that's unnecessary. It can be harmful to the dog. You're not going to bond with the dog. Now, the dog will still appear happy. It's a lab. It's a dog. They love people, usually. They've been manufactured, specifically bred to work well with people. I mean, you try that with Adonis, and he would say, screw you, dude. He would fight you. He would, you know, he's a Shiba. They don't take kindly to this kind of baloney. I know, I'm really trying not to, I'm trying not to curse, so.
Correction. You guys have to get, in society, dogs are out of control. The dog training industry has 80 to 90% of the trainers are doing a poor job.
Where is he getting this statistic from? Like, I can agree. I mean, I'm not going to put like a number out, but I would say, yeah, a lot of people out there, a lot of trainers don't do a good job. But maybe it's because they're not abusing animals and yanking them on the throat and yanking them, and they're not doing the dog daddy style, or they're not doing hanging the dog, or they're not popping the dog and jerking the dog and putting them into learned helplessness, which he says is necessary for a recall. The majority of trainers don't do that. So yeah, you're not going to get as many successes or results. Or the biggest thing is that the owners will say that the trainer didn't work. The method didn't work, which could be very possible. The trainer, there's a lot of, you know, trainers that are positive reinforcement that I've seen that don't really, they need to work on their skills a little bit more. They need to work better on their timing or their communication with their clients. At the same time, I've had plenty of clients I've seen once or twice, and then 2 weeks later, they're working with somebody else saying that the method didn't work. It was the client that didn't work. They didn't want to put the work in. They didn't want to put the time in. They think it's the dog that's stubborn. They say it's the, you know, that the method didn't work, or they blame the trainer. You know, a lot of times when you have these crazy animals, it's because the owner doesn't take accountability, and nobody holds the owner accountable. We hold the dog accountable. The owner is the one who has raised the animal and taught them these behaviors, so they need to be the ones to fix it. That's why I train the owner and not the dog. Now, it sounds a bit harsh. I mean, I would never say that to anybody's face, you know, but I try to, that's the hard part, is that, you know, if you tell somebody honestly, they're not going to want to listen. You don't really get to help the dog. But you can still help them without using these techniques. You know, anybody who knows me or talks to me knows I would never, ever, ever do this. If this dog ever gets popped, it's because of an accident, because I was not paying attention. They see a squirrel, they run for it, and they stop because they're tethered to me and they hit the end of the leash, and I would feel horrible for the dog. I would be absolutely on my toes to pay attention. I would try to counter condition that and make it a positive association. But a lot of the times, if you see that the training isn't working, look at the owner. I mean, yeah, the trainers can be, you know, bad too, but I've also seen a lot of good trainers that just have really crappy clients.
You have to do something different. You have to follow somebody's way.
So here he's sniffing. This is a good way to... he's sniffing. He's a little distracted. You can try calling him away here. I think here he might be able to listen. If you were to call his name and he looks at you and you walk backwards, terrific. Start rewarding him for this behavior. You don't need to wait until he's all the way up there to pop him.
Okay, so you might say, well, I've never seen that. Oh my gosh.
And no, you don't need to follow anybody's particular way. When I use positive reinforcement, this is not my way. It's not my technique. Just like this is not special for him. It's not unique for him. He says to go get go get him method. It's not special to him. He's just chasing and trapping an animal to catch him, and then he corrects them when he brings them back to their spot. That's it. He uses compulsion. By a pop. You do what I say because I said it. It's not particular to him. It's no special method of his. He just calls it something. He might add a little twist to it, a little flair. But it's been done for the last 60, 70 years since people have been training dogs. It's just, a little bit different collars. Or they're colored differently, or they're covered.
Oh, well, that was mean. Whatever you say, it doesn't matter. It was
mean.
What it is.
I know, it's not. It does matter, very much so. Just because he says it doesn't matter, he's excusing his action to be forceful with this animal and terrifying the animal and says, oh, well, I got results, so it doesn't matter, Because I say it's not mean, of course he's not going to say it's mean, because then he would have to believe that he's being mean to animals. Nobody wants to admit they're being mean to an animal. But yet they are.
Effective. Cooper, come.
Yeah, no, Dodd's effective. It's aggressive. It's unnecessary. You don't need that. But he says, "Oh yeah, okay, call it being mean, but I get results, so who cares?" Yeah, I can get results by running over your foot and teaching you not to go near cars. Or if you go and try to go say hello to someone and I smack you in the head, you won't go saying hello to someone. You can punch this dog in the face. You can hit him with a whip, just like the Cypress arrow. Canine, you can hit him with a cattle prod. You can do anything you want. But as long as it's in the name of training, it's okay.
Started to come. Still got a little correction. Wasn't quick enough. Now third one.
Wasn't quick enough. Okay. Lip lick. He's going to get a third correction, I bet you.
Cooper, come.
Oh, very good dog. Very good. So that was good on the dog that I was really hoping for him to not get a correction. I'm just expecting that this guy, if you're not quick enough, if you're not this, if you're not that, we have to be subservient to the great human here.
Summations, a pretty crazy dog is coming away from...
He wasn't crazy seeing these dogs as he was inside. He's already been shut down from there. So this is not impressive. It's a Labrador, you popped him on the leash. That's not impressive. What's impressive to me is getting this dog off leash to come back to you while he's visiting these dogs. That's impressive to me. This is easy. It's easy to correct a dog. It is so easy. That's why we have so many trainers that use this that get quick results. And the owners think it's great. I mean, they may not like that you have to give the correction, but you do it once hard enough and the dog won't do it again. The owners don't have to keep up with it. But after a while, the dog will slip, the owners don't want to hurt it, and they go back to training. This kind of style of training, this method of training does not last. And if it does, then you have absolutely blown this dog's mind and you have absolutely suppressed him so hard and abused him so hard that he is never going to try alternate behaviors again.
Another dog through a fence that he has never met. You can tell he's never met this dog.
But he wasn't crazy when he saw him.
Yeah, but that's Joel. That's you. You can do this.
You can do this, but you shouldn't. You do this enough with the wrong dog, they will turn back and redirect on you. You try this with Adonis, Sheba, he will turn back and redirect on you. He will not take kindly. He will say F you, he will walk away, and you're going to have to keep getting into a fight with him. Owners don't want to do this with their dog. I mean, a lot of them do. They don't mind. But those are not the type of owners that I work with, honestly.
You can do this when you walk down the street and let your dog say hi to a dog through a fence.
No.
And then you do one recall, the dog says no, you do what I do. You do another recall, the dog starts to come with you, but really didn't come to you. You then do what I did.
No.
Third recall is like this. Cooper, come. Now he's smelling.
Ouch.
Because he was smelling the behind of the dog, hopefully you could see it, maybe you couldn't.
Set him up for failure again. That's a beautiful Ridgeback.
And he comes away, even without a recall. Just following.
Good. You could do this all while using treats. A ball, a toy, food that the dog would actually be excited to work for instead of just a slave-master relationship. You do what I say because I said it. It's compulsion. It's nothing special. You don't need to pay this guy anything to learn how to do this, which is why he's, I guess, showing it. And then you do it wrong, and then you hurt your dog or whatever, and then you have him to blame, but he's going to have some kind of liability, whatever, and say, no, You did it at your own risk.
All right. It's time to
this
get...
poor dog.
Sit. Time to get serious. Okay? I'm not...
Oh, you're not serious already? Really? That wasn't serious enough? No, don't push a dog down on the hips like that. Like, lip lick, it's so bad on the spine. The dog is going to be fearful of you. Don't push a dog down on the hips like that. It is very bad physically, and also the dog doesn't learn anything other than to be manhandled.
I'm not asking multiple times. He knows sit.
He doesn't know sit. If you asked sit and he didn't sit, he does not know sit. And you can see here where the choke chain has left like discoloring on the fur.
I don't
Ouch.
care that there is a dog there that he has not met and he doesn't feel like sitting.
He doesn't feel comfortable to sit, dude. Look at his tongue. He's starting to show more stress. Spatulate tongue, closed eyes, ears are back. This type of trainer says, I don't care what you want. I have opposable thumbs. I'm a human. I'm higher than you are. You're going to do what I say. I hate this type of mentality that dogs are lower than us. They're meant to be man's best friend. They're meant to be worked with. You know, man and woman's best friend. They're meant to be partners. This is a slave. And he's showing stress, and he doesn't care about his emotional state. And he says, I don't care that there's other dogs there. You should care. If you want any bond with this dog, if you want this dog to trust you, it's becoming learned helplessness. This dog says, I can't get away. He's just going to force me. He's going to pop me. He's going to correct me. He has to force me to sit down. So he doesn't know sit, because if he said sit, the dog should have sat. If it understands that it's not being stubborn, the dog does not know sit in this situation because there's distractions. He's outside. Maybe you could practice without the dogs there, and he may or may not know. That's how you understand if you need to continue generalizing if the dog knows sit. Just because he learned sit in there doesn't mean he knows sit here. Just because he knows sit here doesn't mean he knows sit with other dogs.
This dog loses
stressed.
his mind in many ways when he sees dogs and when he sees people, and he just goes, ugh, and he loses his mind. Those days are over.
Jan?
I said that in the...
Okay, so I just answered a question about this. How do you deal with a dog that's super crazy with other dogs? If you want to learn, if you want to hear my answer to that, go back to part 1 and part 2 of Dog Trainer Answering Questions. It's on my channel. And you can listen to exactly how I handle that with a viewer who has a question about their, I think, 1.5-year-old pit bull. And I answer that question in depth.
Video the other day. I'll post that video.
But it does not involve any of this.
Up in the, what is it, in the left-hand corner of the screen, I think? Let me think about this. You'll see it. Okay, I'll post it right now.
Yeah, I've already done a video on this one.
With this guy, his first training session. Okay, go see your friend. Thor!
Lip lick as he goes up.
Thor! Dude, come here. Thor!
Thor is like, screw you, dude. I saw this dog get, popped and drug away, and I saw you forceful with him. He's a smart dog right there. That's a very smart dog, and beautiful, too. That's a smart dog. I like Thor.
Thor! Come here.
Yeah, see, what's going to happen now, huh? When your dog doesn't actually listen to you. What would happen next is he would go in there, grab him, and drag him over here. That's how your method works, dude. This dog, I like this dog. I like their attitude. They're like Adonis. They're like, you know what, dude? I'm not coming to you. I don't have a relationship with you. Unless you come in here and force me, and his head goes down, and he's getting down low, so he has to ask him 3 times when he doesn't have a leash on to pop him like this dog. This is what you get after a period of time when you don't have the leash on. Poor thing.
Face to face, face to face, face to face. Cooper, come! And good boy, Cooper.
And because he's a Labrador, because he's he will care about that good boy. Adonis would say, F you, I don't care, leave me alone. I don't need you. I'm sure that Ridgeback looks like a Ridgeback to me. I could be wrong. But I'm sure that dog, Thor, would say, screw you, dude. I don't care about your good boys. Unless you got something good for me that I actually care about, like food or space or, a ball or whatever this dog likes. But because this dog is, a Labrador, and most of the time Labradors, you ignore a dog long enough and they'll be happy with the slightest bit of attention you give them.
Now we have a dog that just arrived. We're going to go on a walk. We're going to pass
lovely.
that dog, so you're going to see him passing of dogs. Okay?
Okay, so we're going to go over that in part 3, because I'm sure this video is long enough as well, so stay tuned for part 3.